Continuing on with this episode 2 of Coasting with Piv and Finer, as we are now joined by the head coach of the Rapid City Rush, Daniel Tetrault. Daniel, thanks so much for hopping on here. I know it's been a crazy few weeks as you guys are finally underway, but what does that feel like after, the time after the season was canceled back in March to where you guys are now? Just what has that whole roller coaster been like for you?
Well, it's a great feeling to be back, playing hockey. I feel very fortunate and blessed to be one of the teams, one of the coaches going. I feel terrible for my other colleagues, the other coaches that cannot resume play, and especially all the free agent players that are out there without a job. It's tough on them. So I'm never going to complain, and I'm very fortunate, and we're fortunate to be playing hockey. And it was great to have those two games this weekend. It just felt great to be back at the rink having hockey back.
Always nice to start a season with a win. You guys split a weekend series with Utah. Game ends on Friday, 6-4 win over the Utah Grizzlies. What does it feel like when you get back in the room, you're in front of the boys, and if there was any normalcy to that at all, how are you feeling?
Well, we were all excited. We were down 2-0 and 3-1 in the game, and we scored 3 goals in the third period to make it 6-4. So it was a big win for us, especially at home. Our fans were into it. We had about 3,500 people here, and it was just a great feeling. We won the game, but just a great feeling to be back playing hockey, like I said earlier. And Saturday Utah gave it to us pretty good. They were hungrier, and they were pretty bitter after that loss. So, but overall, like I said, win or lose, it's just great to be back and having some kind of normalcy a little bit.
You mentioned just the part of your job, as the head coach, you're one of the guys that recruits. And when it comes to a year like this, you mentioned all the guys who are sitting at home and have nowhere to play this year. It's got to make your job a little bit harder because there are so many good players who are still on the market and still are free agents, but you have all these guys that can get the job done on the ice. Has it been really tough to kind of turn these guys away when, they're guys maybe even, from playing or from coaching that you have a good relationship with, and they're calling you and saying, hey, I would love a place to play. And you say, hey, you know what? We're full. There's only so many places you can play.
Yeah, you're right. It's been very unusual for all coaches involved because your phone's just blowing up. Really, you just want to coach hockey. But for the last couple of weeks and even in the summer, it was more about recruiting and the not knowing if you're going to play or not. And then when the teams opted out, the agents were calling, the free agents were calling, and you're always trying to improve your lineup. But you got to be careful of how many guys you bring in. And then there's salary cap issues as well. I know a lot of teams are having help with their American League and the NHL affiliates with players. Here with Arizona, I only got one goalie that signed out of major junior. And so you got to, finagle around the salary cap. And then they lowered the salary cap on us. So, you had to give pay cuts to guys, unfortunately, but they're not complaining. I mean, it's a job for them. There's like 200 other free agents calling all the time. So, but I know other teams are upgrading, and you're always trying to upgrade at the same time.
It's sort of interesting you say that at the end about upgrading, because in a normal circumstance in the ECHL, it's you obviously are always trying to upgrade your team, best possible players. This year, there's a difference to that, and you want to make sure that you guys build the loyalty with the group that's coming in so you can be in the best possible scenario to build for next year. How do you manage that balance of we want to make sure we're the best possible team this year, but we also need to make sure we're not getting it all at once, and then maybe next year it could be a little bit more difficult?
No, yeah, you're right. It's kind of a juggling act, balancing everything. And also, there's that process of the protocols where they need the negative test before leaving their home base. And then they get to town, you got to quarantine them in the hotel and get another PCR test. So even when you get new guys, it's a long process. So you got to think about who you're bringing in and make those calculations. And that's what makes it tough this year on all of us coaches, just balancing the signees and the salary cap, and then the immigration process with the Canadian players as well. So there's a lot of moving parts, and that's why it makes for long days, long hours. But like I said earlier, I'm not complaining. We're playing hockey, and it's part of our jobs. And but if you're not upgrading, the other teams are. So it's just a weird kind of situation, weird off season, and It's basically one day at a time, to be honest. You can't think ahead too far or else you're going to go crazy. So
I
it's a
mean,
one day at a time process.
it's pretty on par with what the league is to begin with, when it's all the transactions and stuff going on a regular season, and then you throw this in the mix where who knows what's going to happen day after day in that department.
No, yeah, you're right. It's been crazy. I mean, but it's always fun playing that kind of like GM role, talking to agents, and a lot of players, they want to play. They just want a job, so they're taking big pay cuts from being out of the job. They just want to play. So you want guys that want to play the game, that love the game, and it doesn't matter really about the money. They just want to play, and so it makes it interesting for this season. That's for sure.
I used to live out in Nebraska, and the time I went up to Rapid City just for a night, saw Mount Rushmore, explored the Black Hills a little bit, and saw the Badlands. Man, it's an underrated area of the country. It's really beautiful. The downside of that being is that within the Mountain Division, there's really no one close that's just a trip around the corner. What has your experience been like? You used to play in Rapid City, you were captain there for a year, and now you're coaching it where, man, you're on the bus for longer than probably any team in the league, and it might not even be close if you were to do the tabulation.
No, yeah, that's a good point. We're on an island here, but fortunately, with our new ownership group in Aspire Sports and Entertainment out of Carolina, they also bought Greenville this past summer, so they own two teams now, and they gave us plenty of resources, and they treat the staff and players like class and like gold, and now we're flying everywhere. So they sold the bus. So it made my job recruiting a little easier in the off season. Now you can get the big time players if you want. And then the guys they have brand new apartments here, and it's actually a great hockey town. I mean, there's a rich history. They started in the Central League about 11, 12 years ago, won the Central League championship their second year in existence, and they used to sell out here all the time. And actually, with the new ownership and our new team president, Todd Mackin, that we got from Kansas City, the Mavericks, he's done a superb job cleaning up the front office and promoting the team and the community. And we averaged close to 4,000 last year, and it was rocking. We set a record of nine straight home wins to start the year last year. So good things are happening in Rapid City, and it's one of the reasons I signed an extension with Rapid. And now with flying everywhere, it's a nice place to play.
What brought you to Rapid City originally? You had that year where you were the captain. What were some of the things that made you want to sign there, and then, come back and become the assistant coach and the head coach?
Well, I was the closest city to home to Manitoba for me, so it's only 11-hour drive. I say only 11 hours for a Western Hockey League junior player back in the day. That's nothing, you know what I mean? So my family comes out to the Black Hills quite a bit, and when I played against the Rush as a opposition player, the place was always rocking. I love the small town feel, and it's a real hockey town. So I enjoyed my time here for the year I played, and got into the coaching side of things. Started as an assistant, and when the head coach job came available, I pushed real hard to get that job, and I was fortunate enough to get the job, and I'm real happy here. It's a great city, great community, and like I said, with the new ownership now, makes it a great place to play.
You say 11 hours, not a big deal in the car, and I think anybody in the coast that's been in the coast for long enough has definitely been on multiple of those. I'm always interested, the longest you've ever been in a car just by yourself, driving yourself from one place to another.
I drove straight to Austin, Texas, my first year pro, 24 hours straight. Stupid, but I made it through.
So you
and
left
then, and then I turned in my receipts to the team as about $100, so they just loved me from day one.
That's always good coming in. Hey, I'm new. Also, here are my McDonald's receipts, all my gas receipts. Can you guys pay that, please?
Yeah, no, $100, I remember. So
this guy's costing us money first day.
I wasn't very smart, though. I never did that again. That's for sure.
You left at night? Did you leave in the morning? When did
I left like at 4 a.m, got there 4 a.m. the next day.
Oh, my goodness. You listen.
Where were you driving at that time?
And then went to Hooters for wings when I got to town.
What car did you roll up in?
I had a Chevy Lumina with no hubcaps. I think it was, I don't know.
So,
89 Lumina.
so you're showing up in just a pure grit machine, driving 24 hours, and then expecting $100 in expenses. So
Yeah.
that's, again, starting everything off on the right foot. So I want to talk to you about, you're a guy, you've been in that side of the league for a while. You spent some time in Allen where you won, you were part of the CHL championship winning team. Just talk about that experience. It's got to be, awesome getting to the pinnacle and winning a championship. What was that team like, and what was kind of the group that made that possible like?
Yeah, it was a great moment in my career. It was my first championship as a professional. Last time I had won a championship was with the Brandon Wheat Kings of the Western Hockey League. My rookie year, we had beat the Spokane Chiefs, and we just had a good bunch of veteran guys with a good group of rookies as well. And Coach Steve Martinson, he always puts in good teams. And like I said, we just hit our stride near the end of the season, and the playoffs, we won the 3 rounds to win the championship. It was a great moment. It was the last year of the Central Hockey League. We beat Denver Cutthroats that year. And, and the one thing I'm most proud of, I didn't miss one game that season, and I was 34 years old, and played every playoff game. And, yeah, it was a great moment in my career. Got a nice big ring, and can't complain.
So after that season, you end up going, you play in Rapid City, then you end up becoming a coach in Rapid City. When you became a coach, how much did you take away from that championship year, from the things that you learned from Steve Martinson and things that you learned from your time playing? How much was taken out of that success into what you do now?
Well, when I became about 29, 30 years old, I always hope one day, and my goal was to one day be a coach at this level or any level. And I learned a lot from different coaches. I had great coaches throughout my career, especially the pro career. The likes of Brent Hughes, former NHLer, Rich Crom in Evansville, and Kevin McClellan in Wichita, and then Steve Martinson. So you take away a little bit from every individual, and put it in your register it in your brain. And it is an adjustment from being a player to a coach. I really appreciate all my coaches after I got the job, because I didn't know all the work that was involved in being a coach. You have to take care of 20, 25 players, and as a player, you really just take care of yourself. So there's long hours, a lot more preparation, but it's a passion of mine. That's one of the reasons I played 15 years minor pro, bussing it all the way. I didn't do it for the money. I did it for the love of the game. And I enjoy my time developing these kids. And that's the main thing, developing them and making them better human beings at the end of the day.
I have one more serious one, and then I think we'll veer off here for just a few minutes. So my serious one, and we asked Andrew Lord this, albeit it was off air, so we'll call it the step team, the step brothers of the Rapid City Rush down there in Greenville, like you mentioned, with the shared ownership of Spire Sports and Entertainment. So Andrew was talking to us again. It was off air, but we sort of quickly asked him, what did you say to the team about the importance of making it through this year and making a good impression? So as head coach, what did you say, or have you said anything to the boys about the importance of showing the hockey world that this is possible and that we can get through this season without any hitches?
Yeah, no, definitely. We went through meetings the first day about the tight protocols that need to be followed to stay safe. Wearing your mask at all times around the locker room, social distancing, washing your hands, and even being out in the community, just do the curbside pickup, and just make sure we're doing all the little things to keep everyone safe, because at the end of the day, we need to be playing hockey and and staying safe at the same time. And then if there are cases, we got to try to minimize the damage, because we'd be fools to think that no one will test positive. I mean, this virus is a serious thing and it's everywhere, but to minimize the damage and, and keep it tight. And that was the main thing that we addressed as an organization to the players.
On the exact opposite end of the spectrum, we've learned from Mark Benetti, the wonderful voice of the Rapid City Rush, who was featured on our call of the week. So every week on the show at the start, we'll pick out, a couple of the best plays and then give a little love to the media guys this year too. And so Binner had the Jack Suter first career goal call. I really enjoyed it. So did Evan. And Jack, we know, is a great player in juniors and college. And that was his first career goal. So anyway, back to Binner. He puts olives and pickle spears in Bud Light. And we heard this, both Evan and I, and Evan's not a fan of olives. He'll eat pickles. I'll eat both. But what is going on with this Bud Light and the olives and the pickle situation here?
I don't know. He started it a couple of years ago, and then I tried it and actually loved it. And then my fiance also tried it, and she loved it. And then all his friends here in Rapid City tried it and loved it. And it seems to be a thing now in Rapid City, and because of Mark Benetti. So, hey, try it out there.
I might have to give it a try. I mean, if it's taking over part of the country, I mean, it's bound to get here probably by next year, the way that Mark Benetti makes his rounds around places. But I mean, he explained it to us. I remember the first time that we were talking about it, and he said it so nonchalantly, and I was like, wait, back up a second. You put olives in your Bud Light, so you're at the bar and you're asking the bartender, "Hey, can I get an olive?" And he's probably like, "For what? You ordered a Bud Light." He goes, "Exactly." So I said, "Binner, you got to explain yourself." And he did. And we still think it's strange. But, I mean, if you're on board, I mean, and so many other people are on board, I think we have to give it a try.
You did start a trend here in Rapid City. I must admit, everywhere I go now, like Buffalo Wild Wings or wherever, people are using olives and pickle spears because of Benetti. I'm telling you, that's popular here. He's been here several years, so he's got a big following.
I'm glad he has a big following for him. And we talked right before we put you live that you claim he makes the best spaghetti and meatballs.
Oh, it's unbelievable. His meatballs, it's his grandma's specialty, and his spaghetti and meatballs are unbelievable. Probably the best in the league. So,
oh my God,
he'll have to cook for you guys one day.
We're gonna have to make him cook for us.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Have to. And then, while it's cooking, little Bud Light with olives and pickles.
I want to know how many pickles and how many olives he has in his fridge at one time. Just, you never know when the moment's going to be right. You always have to be prepared in that sense.
That's all he got. That's all he's got in his fridge, I think. That's it. Bud Light and pickles and all. That's why he stays so skinny,
I was going to say, too, he's a lithe one. He's a lithe one. So this has been great. Again, Daniel Tetrault, the head coach of the Rapid City Rush. We really appreciate you hopping on. And this is episode 2. We're going to keep this going throughout the year, keep highlighting what you guys are doing as coaches, highlight some players along the way as well. And thank you so much for hopping on.
Thanks for having me, guys. And stay safe out there, and Merry Christmas.
You as well.
Merry Christmas.